Good evening, and welcome to our broadcast. Tonight, we delve into a deeply divisive issue. Should companies possess the right to refuse service based on sincerely held religious beliefs? This question sits at the complex intersection of religious freedom, commercial rights, and fundamental principles of non-discrimination. Joining us to explore this are Mr. Samuel Green, who will argue in favor of this right, and Ms. Olivia Chen, who will argue against it. We'll begin with opening statements, followed by a moderated discussion and rebuttal, and conclude with closing remarks from each guest.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I believe that businesses, particularly small enterprises that are often extensions of the owner's personal values, should not be compelled by the state to provide services that directly contradict their deeply held religious convictions. This isn't merely about business. It's a fundamental issue of religious freedom and freedom of conscience. These freedoms are not confined to a place of worship. They must extend to our daily lives, including how we conduct our work and our businesses. It's crucial to understand that this is not about discriminating against individuals or groups per se. We are not talking about refusing to serve someone because of who they are. Rather, it's about declining to participate in or create for specific events or messages that conflict with core religious tenets. For instance, a baker who is a devout Christian might respectfully decline to bake a cake with a message that goes against their faith, while still happily selling that same customer a birthday cake or other goods. This isn't about the person. It's about the message or the event they are being asked to endorse or facilitate through their creative or professional skills. To force a business owner to act against their conscience in such matters is, in my view, a form of compelled speech or action, which is a serious infringement on personal liberty. For many small business owners, their work is deeply personal. Their identity, their values, their faith are often integral to what they do and why they do it. Compelling them to participate in or endorse something that violates their conscience places an undue burden on them, potentially forcing them to choose between their livelihood and their faith. This is a choice no one should be forced to make in a society that truly values religious freedom.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. My position is clear. Businesses that open their doors to the public must serve everyone equally, without exception, based on the owner's religious beliefs regarding who the customer is or what the customer believes. The principle of non-discrimination in public accommodations is not a trivial matter. It is a cornerstone of a fair, just, and equal society. Access to the marketplace must be universal. When a business decides to operate in the public sphere, to offer goods or services to the general populace, it implicitly agrees to abide by the laws and societal norms that ensure equal access for all members of that public. We cannot have a system where businesses pick and choose customers based on whether they approve of their lives, their identities, or their beliefs under the guise of religious freedom. History provides us with stark warnings. Personal beliefs, including religious ones, have been used in the past to justify egregious forms of discrimination, denying services to people based on race, religion, or other characteristics. Permitting businesses to refuse service based on religious objections to the customer or the perceived message of the service creates a dangerous, slippery slope. If we allow religious beliefs to justify refusal for one type of service or one group, what prevents refusals based on other deeply held personal moral codes, potentially targeting various other groups and eroding civil rights protections? Furthermore, we must consider the profound dignitary harm and humiliation inflicted upon individuals who are turned away simply because of who they are or what a business owner believes about them. Being told that your presence or your request for a standard service is objectionable is a deeply demeaning experience, and it has no place in a society that values equality. Public commerce should be neutral territory, where everyone can participate without fear of being judged or rejected based on protected characteristics or the religious views of the service provider.
Mr. Green, Ms. Chen raises concerns about a slippery slope and historical precedents where beliefs justify discrimination. How would you ensure that religious exemptions don't become a guise for broader unacceptable forms of discrimination against certain groups?
That's a fair question, Dr. Reed. The exemptions I envision are not broad licenses to discriminate. They should be narrowly tailored to situations where a business owner is asked to use their creative talents to produce a message or endorse an event that directly conflicts with their sincerely held religious tenets. This is about specific acts, not a blanket refusal to serve individuals from any particular group. For instance, a calligrapher might decline to create custom invitations for a ceremony that violates their faith, but would gladly sell that same customer standard stationery or offer other design services. The focus remains on the message or the event being endorsed, not the identity of the customer seeking a general service. It's about protecting freedom of conscience from compelled speech, not enabling prejudice.
Ms. Chen, Mr. Green emphasizes freedom of conscience, particularly for services involving creative expression, or what he terms compelled endorsement. Where do you draw the line when a business owner feels their service inherently expresses a message they cannot conscientiously support?
Dr. Reed, when a business offers its services to the public, the line is drawn at providing those same services to everyone. The claim of compelled endorsement for standard commercial transactions is often a stretch. Is a grocer endorsing every meal made with their ingredients? Is a tailor endorsing every occasion their suit is worn to? Providing a service is not a personal endorsement of the customer's life or event. This argument can easily become a pretext for discrimination. If a service, creative or otherwise, is offered to some, it must be offered to all, regardless of the owner's desire not to be associated with a particular customer or event. The public nature of commerce demands non-discrimination. Otherwise, we create a fractured marketplace where people can be denied basic services based on subjective beliefs.
Mr. Green, let's consider a practical implication. What if the refusal of service, say by the only specialty baker in a small town, creates significant hardship or makes it impossible for a customer to obtain a specific service for their event? Does the right to conscience, in your view, still outweigh the customer's access in such a scenario?
That's a challenging hypothetical, Dr. Reed, and one that highlights the tension we're discussing. Ideally, market solutions would prevail. Another provider might emerge, where the customer might find alternatives, even if less convenient. However, the fundamental right to freedom of conscience is a profound one. It's not something that should be easily overridden by considerations of convenience, even significant inconvenience. Forcing someone to participate in an act they believe to be morally wrong or a violation of their faith is a severe imposition. We must be cautious about creating laws that compel such actions. While I empathize with potential hardship, the alternative, compelling speech or action against one's conscience, erodes a foundational liberty. Perhaps in such rare sole provider scenarios, the focus should be on encouraging alternative solutions rather than coercion. These instances of refusal, I believe, are not as widespread as sometimes portrayed. Most business owners want to serve their communities, but there are core convictions that some cannot and should not be forced to betray.
Ms. Chen, Mr. Green argues that some services, particularly creative ones, inherently require an endorsement or personal investment from the provider. Is there truly no room for a business owner to decline participation in creating something they find deeply morally objectionable, even if they might serve that same individual in other, less expressive contexts?
The assertion that providing a commercial service, even a creative one, equates to a personal moral endorsement is a slippery and dangerous premise, Dr. Reed. If a graphic designer creates a logo for a company, are they endorsing all of that company's business practices? If a caterer provides food for an event, are they vouching for the beliefs of everyone attending? Providing a service is not a personal endorsement of the customer's life or event. This argument can easily become a pretext for discrimination. If a service, creative or otherwise, is offered to some, it must be offered to all, regardless of the owner's desire not to be associated with a particular customer or event. Drawing lines based on the, quote, expressiveness of a service is subjective and unworkable. It would lead to endless litigation and uncertainty. The principle must be clear. If you open your doors for public commerce, you serve the public. Allowing refusals based on the owner's moral assessment of the customer's request fundamentally undermines non-discrimination laws and creates a society where access to goods and services is conditional on aligning with a business owner's personal beliefs.
In closing, I want to reiterate that this debate for me, and many like me, is fundamentally about preserving religious freedom and the freedom of conscience in a tangible way. Business owners, especially those in small enterprises where their work is an extension of their personhood, should not be forced by the state to violate their core religious beliefs by creating messages or endorsing events that go against their faith. This is not about animosity or a desire to discriminate against any group of people. It is about the right to live out one's faith authentically in all spheres of life, including one's work. A truly pluralistic and free society must make space for such convictions, protecting the conscience of its citizens from government coercion. I ask for understanding and the continued protection of these essential liberties.
To conclude, the principle of non-discrimination in public accommodations is paramount for a fair and inclusive society. Businesses that open their doors to the public take on a responsibility to serve everyone equally. Allowing businesses to refuse service based on the owner's religious objections to the customer or the event creates a license to discriminate, causing real harm and indignity to those turned away. While religious freedom is a cherished right, it cannot be used as a sword to harm others or to impose one's religious views on customers in the commercial marketplace. Upholding robust civil rights protections ensures that the marketplace remains open to all, fostering an environment of equality and mutual respect, not one of exclusion and judgment. We must prioritize equal access for everyone.
I want to extend my sincere thanks to both Mr. Green and Ms. Chen for their articulate, passionate, and insightful contributions to this important discussion. It's abundantly clear that this issue of religious freedom and non-discrimination in commerce involves deeply complex legal, ethical, and personal considerations, with compelling arguments presented on both sides. There are no easy answers, and the search for a balance that respects all rights continues to challenge societies worldwide. We hope this debate has provided our viewers with a deeper understanding of the nuances involved and encouraged further reflection on its profound implications for our communities. Thank you for joining us this evening.